up with this idea of this climb for equality. If we sweep it out from under the rug, then we can actually begin to create a positive change for the future generations. It's always been one of my worst fears to tear my ACL when I'm skiing. I was in a world of hurt. I mean, the first thing that came into my head was, I'm so screwed, because the day before we had just wire transferred this ungodly amount of money to climb Everest. It wasn't so much that it was painful physically, it was just that mental anguish was completely overwhelming. There was a silver lining in that it was just pure ACL and that I didn't have any meniscus damage, because the meniscus, it tends to lock up, and so that would have really prevented me from doing the climb. Then the next day, I went to see a sports med doctor. He ordered the MRI, and the sports med doctor, he was not an orthopedic surgeon, but he said, you know, there's a chance that even with a torn ACL, in 7 weeks, you could still climb Everest. That was a huge mental shift for me, where I was like, I can do this.
Go, Caroline, go. Go, Caroline, go. Yeah.
You guys rock. Thank you for the video.
We're at the airport.
It's happening.
We are so excited. Thank you so much. Lots of love back. And we will be in touch.
Thanks. Stay in touch.
Traveling to Tibet, I was really concerned about how the long air travel was going to affect my knee with the swelling and the discomfort of that. And so 42 hours of air travel, it was not really that nice on my knee. I had so much anxiety about it, and at every moment I was trying to fill up a bag with ice and ice it and do whatever I could to keep the swelling down during the travel. So there's also some very interesting bathrooms along the way here in Tibet. And the bathrooms are much worse than what we have at Basecamp. So this is the bathroom. It works. Could be worse.
So we've got a little ways to go up before we get there. But Everest is right there in all its glory.
Yeah. What's the name of your climb? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's do the photo.
Yeah, let's
we're the
ladies.
Yeah, why not?
First impression of Basecamp on Everest on the Northside in Tibet was pretty similar to the base camp of Cho Oyu, which is the 6th highest peak in the world that I had climbed and skied 6 months earlier. We're able to drive straight to Basecamp. So we had electricity and other creature comforts that aren't available on the south side base camp, where you have to hike so far to get to. The north side Tibetan Everest base camp, there's just this huge presence of Everest. You can see it from everywhere you are at camp. And so watching the way the sun would hit it or the wind would come and blow the snow around on the top, you're just always staring up at the summit. And so there's this majesty and this presence from being able to look up and see the summit. Even if I just have got to base camp, that's great. I should be so happy to be here. I just feel so sick. I hate this feeling so much. In all honesty, I was just a total junk show, and there's just something about that amount of air travel that just crushes me, and every time I show up at the base camps for these Himalayan expeditions, I'm just annihilated from some weird sickness that I get from the travel. At every moment I had doubt, and it was just a matter of getting moving and seeing how my knee was going to feel.
Mr. Peel, meanwhile, is setting the blistering pace towards the North Pole. Look at that man move. He's just really going for it. Oh yeah.